guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to be talking about my 2023 personal goals. So in December, I did a wrap up of my personal goals for 2022. A lot of these are continuing and I'm tweaking them because I've learned things. But as you guys will see, there's some things that just with adulthood are consistently a thing I'm working on. My brain has not found the way to make some of these things work for me completely. So it's a work in progress as I adapt and change and try to figure out how to do some of these things more consistently. So as I said for the last couple of years, I don't have any like overarching goals that are like, impossible, but more so like tweaking a lot of daily stuff for like health behaviors. I also am gonna have a whole separate video for my witchy goals because there's a lot of those. This I think is gonna be a big year for me in my witchcraft practice. Last year was hot garbage. The last couple of years have been like kind of bad. So this is all mundane world stuff. And it's already like a week into the new year as I'm filming this, and I was just like not getting my goals together written down. I was like brainstorming them a lot and whatever. This is finally getting me to like, okay, I've written them down. I can put them in my bullet journal. Like, let's get to it. First off, my word for the year that I decided on actually like, I think right around New Year's Eve is going to be flourish. I was going between flourish and thrive. They're similar words. Do I want thrive or do I want flourish? Flourish has a little more pizzazz, you know? And maybe next year I can continue and be like thrive. I don't know. Flourish seems like, to me, the act of like you're flourishing, right? And then thriving is when you're already up here. So let's make this the year of the flourish and next year the year of the thrive. I just feel like I'm moving through some things. Some things are transitioning this year in a good way, and I feel like that will set me up for thrive in 2024. But flourish is also thriving. Anyway, but that is my word for the year. This is very different from last year where I was steady was my thing, consistent, whatever. Hit and miss whether I feel like I hit that as far as like my feelings. Emotionally, I did. So after the steadiness, the flourish, the thrive, you know, we're doing a whole thing. So I've broken this down into similar categories as I kind of had last year. First is sleep schedule stuff. It's the bane of my existence. I will be really good for a while. I will do really well with it and then I'll fall off the bandwagon. Basically, the way I'm looking at a lot of these behaviors is what do I want to do more of and what do I want to do less of? Some of those things are, you know, combined into like sort of one goal. And then what are the things I need to do to make those behaviors easier for the ones I want to do more of and harder for the ones I want to do less of. That is the way, as a therapist, I put together like behavioral action plans. So the first one is continuing to get to bed by like 2 or 3. I should probably set it to be like 2, but honestly, that's like 2 doesn't tend to happen. It's like, sometimes it does, but between 2 and 3 like definitely does consistently, except for when things are getting really atrocious. So that I would like to continue to do more than not. I do think in 2022 I ended up doing it more than not, but then I would have bouts of horrendousness. So we gotta get it in order. So how am I gonna make this more possible? Getting to bed at a certain time. I'm going to continue to use my app blocker, which I have now since even last year. Last year I was using it a lot still. About halfway through the year I think is when I started implementing it. It's just the app blocker. I have the paid version. I think you can pay like 20 bucks for it, like to be maybe it's a year, but I don't even think it's a year. I think it's just like you pay 20 bucks and you have access to everything. But you can also use the free mode. This is not sponsored, whatever. There's a strict mode in there. There's actually 2 strict modes. One is you can't go in there and change it if you like want to change something while the different routines are active. So for example, my TikTok turns off, I can't access it at 11 p.m. each night. If I were to try to go in there and turn it off, which I have done in the past, it won't let me. It's like you're in strict mode, you can't change anything. You can even go so far with this app to turn on strictest mode where you can't even undownload the app to try to get around it. I haven't gone that far. Usually when I hit strict mode, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. No. But if I were to try to do that, I could even implement you can't even undownload this to get around this thing. So that actually has been helpful. Even last night, I was on the couch and some of my other routines happened, which I'll talk about in a second. And I almost tried to like go in there and it wouldn't let me. I'm like, okay. So that helps because something like that, scrolling, just makes me stay up way too late. The other piece of that, just a general piece, is to not get lax on weekends. So I'm gonna keep these app blockers on every day now, and not sometimes, what I would do is I would turn them off on the weekends, and then my weekends would get wonky with my sleep, and then I would feel like I was wasting my weekends, and then it would kind of carry over into the weekdays, and it was just a shit show. So now it's like, no, it stays on the weekends too. And the reason I would turn it off a lot of times is because I'm like, oh, I don't have to be up early. Oh, you know, I want to work on something content related. Well, tough shit, you have to get it done during normal daylight hours. Then I have also set up some routines on my Alexas. I think it's listening to me because I have one in every room now. So the whole thing is that I now have one of those in every room. I welcome our AI overlords. And now it has it so that the lights turn off at a certain time in my living room. Could I turn them back on? Sure. But so far, and I've used this kind of routine before in the past, and it helps. Sometimes I ignore it, but it's just one more thing. One more thing to encourage me to be like, the lights are off. It's an indicator, go to bed. Like, you've decided this in a good state of mind, go to bed. So I have that. And the other thing I've noticed that tends to help me is if earlier in the evening, even if it's not quite time for bed, I just like take a shower earlier. Like do my whole routine, because a lot of times I will try to start getting ready for bed at like a decent time, and then I will dawdle with my night routine. Like I'll be looking for a certain podcast, I'll be like, oh, now is the time to shave my entire body. Like I will just do all these things that then make it so like somehow I'm getting ready for bed for an hour, and it's like, well shit, even though I was going to bed at a decent time, like now I'm not. It's a whole thing. So if I can just do that earlier in the night, which doesn't happen all the time, it's not like an across the board needs to happen in order for me to get to bed earlier, but I do think it helps. So if I'm like, you're gonna be in the rest of the night, you don't have anything to do, no one's gonna see you, just take a shower and like be ready to go to bed whenever. The second part of this sleep routine goal setting is stop with the snooze. I was doing so good with not hitting snooze so much. It was more so like I was staying up too late, but I wasn't really snoozing. I had said this to a friend like fairly recently. And then right around the holidays, like December really, I've just been doing the snooze a lot, or like fully turning my alarm off and not waking up until like the afternoon. Like, not on work days, on my weekends, but it's still bad. And I feel like garbage when I do it, and I just hate it, but sleepy me has no self-control whatsoever and will do it. So again, I have to make barrier behaviors. The first is I got a new alarm clock. I literally got it today. I haven't even set it up yet. But for a while now, I've been using one of those like Philips sunrise alarm clocks, which is great. I used to use it when I lived in Delaware. It was awesome. The thing is, when I lived in Delaware, is I had blackout shades, and so my room was just dark, and then the light would turn on, the sunrise alarm would turn on to like kind of slowly wake me up. It doesn't really work anymore because now I don't have blackout shades, so I use a sleep mask, and it blocks out all the light. So I still get jolted awake like I would with anything, because I don't have the transition of the light. Even though the light is on, I can't see it. So what I got, and what I was looking at even when I was setting up my sleep schedule and like fixing things over the summer when I did that kind of routine, which I do kind of consistently, I change things up, whatever. I fall back into old habits. But I got the Lofty alarm clock. It's one of those like sort of social media alarm clocks, but it looks hella nice. It was on sale for New Year's, but it's like a standard alarm clock, and it also combines a bunch of things I already use. So it has this alarm clock, it has a sound machine in it, which right now I use a sound machine. It's kind of a cheaper one, travel one, and sometimes the sound can be like a little annoying and repeats itself. You'll know if you've ever used one. So this is like one that has a bunch of different sounds, and this is an alarm clock that wakes you up gradually with sound versus light. So like 9 minutes or 10 minutes before your alarm goes off, it like plays like really soft music to kind of like lull you a little bit out of sleep, but not completely, and then we'll do the alarm 10 minutes later. So the combination of the sound machine plus that, I think is gonna be good. So that is getting around the sleep mask situation. Some of you might be thinking, why don't you just take off the sleep mask? No, because then I won't sleep well because light's coming in my room. You see, I still need to sleep well during the night. The other thing I might do, and I haven't yet, but I might, I've been installing smart plugs on like so much of my shit. I go through phases where I'll like buy a bunch of smart plugs and like install them to certain things. What I might actually do is install one, now that I have more room in my nightstand with this new alarm clock that combines a bunch of different things that I already use. Oh, I think I'm also gonna use like I think there's a lamp thing attached to it, so I'm gonna take my lamp off of there. There's a lot of things where I can have like this one machine for my nightstand. Because I'll have room, I think I can program a aromatherapy diffuser to a smart plug and have it turn on, if I can find one that like stays auto on unless you turn it off. Find one, there's a way I can do this, to turn on at a certain time and have like awake smells like coming on at a certain time to also help me wake up. Anything I can do for all of my senses to help me wake up needs to happen because, again, sleepy me does not like to cooperate. So there's a ton of like morning blend essential oils that I could put in a diffuser and that like I can smell in the morning and be like, okay, it's time to get up. Because I don't make coffee, so I can't be having my coffee machine going at a certain time because I don't care. But that, I could. The other thing is, as a backup, is I did reinstall Alarmy, which is an app that I've used like forever. Right now I don't have my phone in my room, which is why I haven't used it. But in the past I would use it because it has a number of different ways that you can turn off your alarm. It's like do math programs, like do steps, whatever. The reason I stopped using it is because it glitched out on me, but I used to use it where I would have to scan the pet's food barcode. It glitched and stopped working, and that's why I uninstalled it like a while ago. But I think it's fixed now, bug-wise. So if I start still doing snooze with all this stuff, I'm going to reinstall that, do the pet food again, because usually what would happen is I would go and I would do the pet food, and by the time I got through the pet food routine, I was awake enough to like stay awake. So that is the plan for that. The other thing is continuing to use the for, I think it might have still heard me, oh my God, for other routines. Like I did set up a routine for a little bit after my alarm goes off on the weekends to like wake me up, turn on a light, play morning music, whatever. Like any stacking things to not let sleepy gremlin me do whatever she wants. That bitch is not to be trusted. So that's all the sleep stuff. If I could get the sleep stuff in order, that would be a successful year for me. Second part is more movement stuff again. So there's some things I've been like wanting to do more of. Last year's movement stuff was like still fine. Like I'm not sitting here like shooting for the stars. I'm not shooting for weight loss. It's none of that. It's just like move your body more because it makes you feel better. So last year I did buy a walking pad towards the end of the year. I love it. It's right here. That's why I'm doing this. And I want to continue to use that for activities that would usually be more sedentary. So I can't use it for work because I would be a talking head doing this like all day. I don't think that would be appropriate. But I've been using it to do my notes. I've been using it to edit videos. I've been using it a little bit to scroll on TikTok, sometimes play video games on my Switch, things like that. I'm still not trying to walk 10 miles a day, but almost every day I have been getting to at least 8,000, which was my stretch goal for a while for weekends, because you don't actually have to hit 10,000 steps. So I wasn't necessarily making it be 10,000, but like my minimum now is like 8, where my minimum used to be 6. And if I'm like feeling into it, I just keep going. If not, I like stop at 8. You know, like I'm not pushing myself. But this, like sometimes I walk between sessions, like it's right here. I have a pair of shoes that I have on at all times that are just for this, and I just turn it on and I walk, and it's great. I do plan to rejoin a gym, and it's a gym that's right around the corner from me. It's slightly more expensive than I wish it was. It's like an Anytime Fitness, so it's open all the time, which is what I need. It's right around the corner, so even though there's a gym across town where I used to go, it's not across town, but it's like a 15 to 10 minute ride, depending on traffic. And round trip is like half an hour of added time, and I just wouldn't do it because of that reason, or if it was shitty weather or whatever. This is like a block and a half away from my house. So it's easy, it's 24/7. It shouldn't be super busy like that last gym, and I will try to go at like non-optimum times because I have a wonky schedule anyway. And at least at the beginning, I'm planning to do short workouts, like half an hour of like some just compound weightlifting. I want to get back into weightlifting. I miss it so much. You guys know that I go in like ebbs and flows with weightlifting. I've talked about it like the entire time I've been in online spaces. So I miss it. I want to get back into it. For a while I was like, maybe I should buy a little home gym thing. I don't have really room for a home gym. It was one of those like, I don't know, you see them on Instagram. But I decided like, just get this gym. So I'm gonna do that as another movement thing. The last piece is I want to continue to do hikes. I didn't do as many last year as I wanted to, but what I plan to do, and you'll probably hear about this more in my seasonal goal videos that I will do, but in the next couple of weeks I want to kind of do this and tentatively plan. I want to do what are some locations within 1 to 3 hours driving time from me. Probably 3 total, but we'll see. I guess I could do as much as 6 for like a long weekend, but do that, figure those places out, and then mark them down, and then like program them into my calendar for like certain times of year so that it's set. Because if I don't do that ahead of time, I just like won't do it, and I do want to do more hikes this year. The next is nutrition. The general goal is like have better nutrition, even though that's so vague, but I think a way I can do this more, and this will also help money-wise and just like laziness-wise, honestly. I want to cook more at home. I know right now it's like a thing where sometimes, you know, getting takeout is almost as expensive as buying things from the grocery store because food's so expensive these days. But I do know that I do tend to feel more like shit when I'm eating out a ton. I have a ton of access to it. I'm not cutting myself off from it completely. That would be ridiculous. But there are definitely some times in the last handful of months where I've eaten out, gotten takeout like 4 or 5 days a week, which is something I never used to do because I was never a takeout person, but now I live in a big city and I get takeout all the time because I have so many food options available to me. There's a number of reasons for this, but this is what I'm gonna try to do to help with that. I do think I'm gonna cancel my like yearly DoorDash subscription thing, like DoorDash Plus or whatever it is, as much as it pains me because I'm like, well, what if I do still use it? I'm wasting even more money. But I think seeing like, oh, this thing is even more expensive than it already is, because usually like DoorDash orders can be like 30 bucks when all is said and done. If it's even more than that, I'm gonna be like, no. Because even now, with the DoorDash Plus, there are times when I like put in my order and I'm like, no, and I stop. So I think that'll help. I need to keep groceries stocked in my house. This is an ongoing problem because I come from a family that literally has like barren cupboards and like just does not stock because they don't cook. So I need to have like a better stock or like pantry grocery setup and not wait until the last minute and everything to be out to make a grocery order, which I tend to do. I just tend to like do it in bulk and I don't need to. So I need to keep things better stocked so I don't run out of food. And then I'm like, well, I have to get takeout because I have nothing to eat. I want to, if I'm getting takeout, pick it up more. This is not like I have to do it across the board. I'm not letting myself get takeout ever because sometimes you're like sick or you don't feel good or the weather's bad or whatever. But if it's nice weather out, the place is close, or even not, and it's like just nice and it's whatever, go and pick it up. And if you can't go and pick it up, don't get it. That's kind of what I'm doing now. And then there's like a few restrictions too about like, I don't want to be buying pizza out all the time. I can do it like once a month. You don't need to be getting takeout pizza. Start getting the supplies for certain things. Like I've been pretty good about getting a lot of supplies for like more Asian cuisines. There's still some things that I would rather like, you know, ramen or something is better out, but you know, things like that. Pizza, it's like I can make myself a pretty satisfying homemade, because I like kind of like the flatbread pizzas here at home. Like have the things that I crave at home stocked. And maybe, I didn't put this on there, but maybe like some level of meal prep, not in the I'm making a ton of batches of the same food that I have to eat every day, because I won't do that. I don't love like a leftover situation, but like maybe I'm meal prepping ingredients so that it's easier for me when I'm lazy and starving to just put things together. That is the goal. I want it to be the case, but I know that part of this is fighting against my previous eating disorder brain that can only do all or nothing. And I was so burned out from cooking from when I was so ridiculous and weighing my own lettuce on a scale that sometimes my brain doesn't want to go back there, but I'm like, we're not going back there. Like, we're just eating more nutritious, colorful things at home. The last major theme is just content. So maybe you guys will be happy to hear some of these things. The big thing with this is making planned content days. I feel like I used to do this a lot, or maybe I just had more time. It wasn't necessarily that I planned content days, but I used to have more time, again, like back in Delaware, over the pandemic, whatever. And so I would have certain days that I knew I would really do content, and I think I need to do that in order to make enough content and the kind of content that I want. I want to do, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get up to this exactly, but I want to, like, ideally more often than not, have like one TikTok a day, 5 days a week, like during the week. I don't really want to post TikToks a lot on the weekends, but I will here and there. But like, I want to just like backlog, which all I need to do is then film 5 TikToks at the beginning of the week to have for the rest of the week. Like, it's not actually hard, but that is something that I want to do. And then I am shooting for, and I don't know how long I'll keep this up, but I am shooting for going back to my 3 time a week schedule for YouTube, whether I'm making videos here on my other channel. And that will also include live streams, so I think this is gonna be really possible. So I'm switching, if you haven't heard me talk about this, I'm switching from live streaming on Twitch over to live streaming on YouTube, so on the Thoughts on Tomes channel, because I want to do more like reading streams. My community is more on YouTube anyway. YouTube is a better platform for creators. Like, there's a lot of reasons. So I have set up membership over there that is similar to like a Twitch subscriber system, and then people can use that to, again, engage with emotes and chat and whatever in the way that they would on Twitch. Plus, I still have the Bibliothecary, which is my Patreon, and I'm just trying to like kind of do it all YouTube, just because YouTube is like, again, best for creators and where my community mainly is. So I'm gonna have more live streams, probably about once a week. I'm no longer probably gonna do like a scheduled Monday live stream, because as much as I know a lot of people like to know like when are things gonna happen, it is getting to be too much for me, because sometimes I'm just like not feeling it. So I want to be able to kind of do live streams a little bit more whenever, but them still being once a week. And I think that's a little bit more fluid with the fact that YouTube also keeps the live streams up much longer than Twitch does, so people can go back and watch them, people can watch the reading sprints and things like that. But yeah, I plan to do more content between this channel and my other channel. This channel especially is gonna have, again, much more witch content, because I'm focused on witchy stuff. So I think 3 videos a week, again, is gonna be a thing that I can do. If there's some weeks here and there where I don't have enough things to talk about and I'm doing 2 videos a week, cool, but I kinda wanna get back to the 3 a week again. There's also a lot of content on Patreon that I have been very consistent with. So in addition to the reading polls and the book video polls that I've had like forever, December. There's now a seasonal book club there that people vote on, and then we read together on Discord and talk about it, and then do a live show at the end with some people, like members are able to join the live show and be like co-hosts of the live show. I've expanded the witchy part of the Discord there. There's a bunch of different channels. There's live streams for the new moon, like an accountability Patreon exclusive live stream. There's tarot card readings for the beginning of the month for book recommendations, and then for the full moon for just like an actual tarot reading. I might expand this to tarot readings in some way. No promises, but I might as I start to learn tarot more. I'll talk about that more in the witchy video. There's audio reviews for all the books that don't have a dedicated either reading vlog or review that I do in a video form. The monthly vlogs are back on Patreon, and then off Patreon I also plan on doing some more reading vlogs, but monthly vlogs are back on Patreon. So there's a lot of Patreon content too. So just trying to be like churning out the content in a way that feels really fulfilling to me, and I've missed doing it, and I really liked what I was doing with Vlogmas. I'm never gonna do like, you know, a video every day for like a year or anything, but I think I'm back in a place and I'm reading enough and engaging with community enough, both here and on Book Talk, that I'm able to make content in a way that I couldn't for a little bit because I felt very disconnected. And then the final thing is just like an overarching thing that I'm gonna get done because I have to get done really in like a month, but that's fully start my private practice. I'm doing that as of February 1st. So like it's definitely happening, but I want to just like put it on my yearly thing. It's like, yeah, and then maybe at the end of the year I'll be able to be like, look at all the stuff you do the private practice. So that's happening, but I have a lot of goals for that I'll mostly be talking about in my like seasonal one, which I wish I could get the seasonal one up this month, but I don't know if I'll be able to. So it'll be like February before you hear about the seasonal like personal goals, but there's a lot of stuff, like checklist stuff I have to get done for the private practice. But again, I guess by the time you see it in February, the private practice will be up. There's still like ongoing stuff there. So that's another big overarching goal for the year. So yeah, those are the goals kind of relating to Flourish. Again, I feel like a lot of these are like sort of like health behavior-y type stuff. I'm making a separate witchy video, which will be coming up in like, I think a few days. Like I think it's still this week. I don't know exactly when I'm uploading it, but I'll talk about that more there. So comment below, let me know some of your overarching 2023 goals and how you plan to achieve them. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.